Hey kids, you want to see a wacky and a weird glitch that happens every time I play this game? Did you catch it? So every time you log in, it tells you to pick your profile. Then you click your profile and you get on the screen that says hold any key to switch profile or press any key to continue. No button I press starts the game. I cannot start a game. And it always does the hold any key to switch profile, but I'm not holding anything. I've done this with the controller turned on, controller turned off, everything. It will always, every single time, do the hold any key to switch profile, even though I'm not holding anything, and I can't get past the screen, and it just kicks me back out to here over and over again. But then, I tab out of the game. Then tab back into the game. And now it works. I don't know, man. It's just there. When I googled it, I found other results for it, so it's just, people know about it on some level. It's just a weird problem that exists. Please patch. Obviously not a huge problem ever. It's not like a massive problem, but it is very much noticeably a problem. And whatnot. Okay. So last time I grabbed the pistol and shotgun, and I've got my admin key, and I have a flashlight because I'm worried that I'll need it. But I'm also somewhat ironically not necessarily stocking up on healing items. I don't know, maybe I'll grab the repair spray. Then I have an entirely full inventory is the problem. I don't know. I'm disinclined to bring healing items because they tend to have healing items in the arenas for bosses in these kinds of games. Bosses can sometimes feel like, ironically, the least resource intensive and resource check-y kind of fights. There's the mineshaft access. Bye! And I'm also used to the idea that I'll probably lose my first attempt anyway. Just trying to figure out what's going on, and then I'll come back more prepared. A goodbye to this area, those 4 floors. It's the mineshaft access elevator controls. If she is still alive, she's probably there. This seems safe. Narrator. It wasn't. Chapter 2. Only 2? I know you're here. I've done this countless times before. We are looping, aren't we? You don't belong here. Oh. Signalis. There's so much stuff flashing by that I don't get the references to or what's going on there. Oh, by the way, The King in Yellow is not written by Lovecraft. It's too late, everyone, or it's probably 500 comments about that. Basalt columns, but not really because they're metal probably, but columns. So many people sent this picture to me the moment this game came out. Adler got fucking obliterated. Hello? No map. But yeah, it comes up in cosmic horror stuff periodically, but just like how I haven't really read much of any Lovecraft, I also haven't really read much of any cosmic horror in general, despite continually playing games that reference or adapt or riff on these ideas, and having done an essay about I even did an essay that on a movie which was itself an adaptation of the book Annihilation, which I don't know, I have not read itself, but whether the book itself was an adaptation of Lovecraft or not, they kind of turned the movie into a riff on A Color Out of Space. aka the one that also has a Nicolas Cage movie now. But even then, I think Color Out of Space is the only Lovecraft story I've ever read, and I read it just as research for that video. I have like a compendium, but I just never get around to it. And I've also not read A King in Yellow, which is written by a completely different person. I think predates Lovecraft, but I didn't check that closely. Vorsicht. Filamentfasser. Monofasser schneidet blitzschnell und Murflaw. It's hard to read. Oh my goodness. Alright, anyway. Monofilament fiber. Handle with care, risk of death. Monofiber will effortlessly cut through limbs and equipment in an instant. Always wear protective clothing. Do not touch monofiber without protective gear. Only handle in brightly lit places. This stuff is dangerous. I bet someone gets cut by it. I have no idea what this place's layout is. We don't have a map. Oh, hi. How do you do? Boom. Flare gun. A single shot gun for firing 26.5mm emergency signal flare cartridges that incinerate targets. Oh. It's a gun that instant kills things permanently. I think, like the thermite stuff. We might be done with the flashlight for now. Just want to give myself some space to work with. Alina's Diary 3. It's worse than I thought. Everyone has disappeared. I still haven't found any trace of Elster. It's as if she had never been here. Something's wrong with the Protektors. Those that are still around. A guard spotted me earlier sneaking out of the medical wing, and she let out a monstrous scream as she chased after me. When I looked back, I saw her face, and now I can't forget. It looked like she'd been in some horrible accident. This person's looking for Elster, which is me, and I'm supposed to have been here, but it's like there's no sign I was ever here. But I myself am also looking through here for somebody else. So we're both looking for someone here separately. It's hard to say what's going on with the elevator shaft, because one of the first things that came to mind for me was that, like, I've played enough games that get all meta and crazy and stuff, and so and this game's even priming me to think about Nier and Nier Automata, which feels intentional. Feels like they're doing it on purpose. And I'm supposed to be thinking about those games, and I have played both of them, and that's a reference I do get, unlike the problem where I have not read The King in Yellow. But like seeing a giant elevator shaft that I get pushed down and it's full of other people, like without context I'd potentially think that, oh, he just pushes people down that elevator shaft all the time. That's his trick. He's done it so many times. But I got primed for the idea because of those other games to think maybe all those bodies were me. It's like those like edgy comics about Mario where he falls down a pit, and they're like, what if every death in Mario was canon? Almost like the Super Meat Boy replay, but they just show like pits full of Mario corpses and so on. It's like I got pushed down a pit, and then at the bottom I woke up and I was in a pit full of people that looked exactly like me, or like the firekeeper, like grave in Dark Souls 3 and so on. Like, are these all me? But because of the fact that you as you will have also noticed, because I'm sure people corrected me on this too, this series has not started airing yet, but I'm aware of my past mistakes. I thought that like because it makes sense for a horror game to an extent, I thought that the poor little housewife robot was who I was, because she looked like me, but it's 'cause it's just hard to tell the characters apart without seeing anyone side by side ever. There's just a bunch of similar looking black-haired anime girls that are all robots. And so I thought that character was me for a minute, but then the Lester unit came up, and I'm like, oh shit, no, that's me. And they're teasing my armor upgrade, apparently, or something. Fuck, what was my train of thought? God damn it. Oh yeah, it was the fact that, like, I can't easily tell these models apart from each other, so that means I can't tell if I was supposed to think everyone in that elevator shaft was me or not, or identical units to me, like other Lesters with the same memories. Because there's this question of, like, I'm thinking about Blade Runner and Blade Runner 20, the number one. You think I could, if I can't remember anyone's model names, you think I'm gonna remember what the name of the Blade Runner one that has a year in it? No, never. I never remember these things. The number one with Ryan Gosling, which I saw in theaters. That one in particular deals with this idea that someone might be pursuing a memory that might not be theirs, and how much these people are driven by those things. Like, they are replicants. Like, these Replikas are like the replicants from that media, potentially. And in that, they're often dealing with the idea that giving these fake people that have only been alive for a few years, giving them a fake history and fake memories makes them more stable. Even if they know the memories aren't real, they still feel real and they identify with them, and it gives them an sort of like this stabilizing nexus to kind of keep them going through life with a sense of identity, even where it somehow isn't even a problem when they know that it's fake and they know that it's not their real memories. It still gives them something to latch on to. And there's this, and like, whether or not memories are real or not is a huge part of the question of whether or not the protagonists of both the first and second Blade Runner movies are replicants or humans or not. And this game doesn't really have the pretense of the idea that we're human at all, I think. I mean, they're called Replikas, so I'm pretty sure they're all. I'm pretty sure that all of us are fake. But I think the gestalts might be human, and that might be the dynamic here. Which I think the names even give away on some level. If you have a better understanding, I don't remember exactly what gestalt actually means functionally, because I haven't dealt with Nier for a while. But pretty sure, I think it functionally means that on some level. But there's an idea that, like, we might be just as off-center and hallucinating or detached from reality as the other characters we're encountering here. So, like, we could be pursuing somebody we've never met before based on a memory that was implanted, and we also might have been doing it over and over and over again, and then just starting over, or dying and starting over as a new model over and over again that then pursues the same thing. And then each time one of them dies and it's stopped. Which, this is also all weirdly resonant with the fact that I'm playing Planescape Torment, which is about the same idea on a different level, not a post-humanist AI fake people aspect, but because that's about somebody who keeps coming back to life but loses their memories. And so they keep looping essentially through the city. Versions of this. And our antagonist currently is a guy who instead seems to be repeating the same day, in that they don't remember the day passing over and over again. So they keep they keep titling every single diary entry the same day, and they talk about how, but then at the same time, despite seemingly losing their memories and not knowing about the looping, he's also talking about how I've done this over and over again. So the current version of him seems to know that he's looping on some level, or have some number of the memories. There's just a lot of ambiguity to deal with everybody right now, really. Mining nuclear tech, high security replica. Yeah. I love the name of that robot. It's really goofy. Especially since I misread it, probably. That's probably my goal. The lock is defective. Okay. I'm not sure how many other paths there were that I could have taken. Like, did I just... Oop. Hello. Ah, hello. You're not a protector, are you? What brings you here? I'm Bo. If you're down here, you're probably looking for something. I'd help you, but one of my hydraulics failed, and I can't move. I'm pretty much done for, so you can just leave me here. There's no point repairing an old unit like me, so don't worry about it, okay? It'd be a waste of resources. I'd offer you my mining laser, but I don't think your frame could supply the power output. You're probably better off using a gun. There should be some useful equipment in the mining office. It's just south of here. Don't worry about me. There are many replacements. We are just replicas after all, right? In the end, what's one drop to an ocean? When I die, they'll just make another. Thank you for talking to me. I hope you find what you're looking for. Aw. Well, I'm more paranoid about what I might be missing in this mapless zone. I'm gonna double back for a moment just for to be sure. I was like, they don't give me a map, and it kind of feels like they were kind of funneling me in a particular direction, and so I feel like I might not have missed anything. And then right when I was about to voice that concern, I encountered a character I'd missed. Paranoia engaged. I think I talked about the first Nier almost immediately once they introduced the terms Replika and Gestalt. But there was a few times where I wanted to bring up Automata and didn't. One point in particular was definitely when it was just becoming increasingly clear that everyone is a female android, like in Yorha. Okay, so this is... First of all, this is a very weird blockage, because it seems like the hexagon columns, the columnar jointing, are like clipping through the tunnel as if they're growing, like a fungus or something, as opposed to being the natural formation. That's trippy. Okay, so we've seen everywhere now, I think. But like pretty early on I started thinking about Yorha, because they kept introducing more and more models, and all of them were female droids. And funnily enough, right when I was about to comment on that, I think, was when we suddenly met Adler. And I kind of just got carried away in the cutscene and other stuff to bring up, because it was like the zone transition, so I didn't really voice the thought. But there were male figures in Automata that just weren't very common. They seemed noticeably outnumbered, especially in the main cast, where there was essentially one named male character in the entire game, basically. 9S. People still are, to this day, I will get new comments arguing what the censored word is in that one scene. Ba-doop-ba-doop. I'm like the one person on the planet that preferred the first Nier over the sequel. I don't love what they make you do to go through the gimmick of replaying the game over and over again to get the different endings. Like, I think that their one point of grace is letting you skip replaying the beginning, but they still make you do way too much, and especially like the get every single weapon in order to get this ending was just like excessive. But narratively, I like the first game more. There's a lot of good in the sequel, but it definitely hits a point where things are getting so odd that it gets hard to follow. Or even really... I don't necessarily need a clear answer about how to feel about something, because ambiguity is its own tool. But there's points in that game where I'm just like, I legitimately... Like, I'm not disconnecting because of the fact that it's morally ambiguous what's happening, or like ambiguous what I should think about the scene. I'm genuinely just losing touch with what's happening at some point in a way that I didn't with the first game. Monofilament fiber again. Those people got fucking obliterated. Ow. How am I doing? They just put this here for when I walk in. They put that here to heal me when I walk into it, didn't they? Oh, there's characters over there. I figured I'd test it. So it's safe to walk this far. If I'm gonna go any further, I need to get my flashlight back. Because the darkness is full of... Okay. My bee. I'm gonna need that flashlight after all. Considering it goes in my head, it's rough that it affects my inventory. I guess it's part of this rule. So there's probably a thematic purpose to that, in that they are bound to this rule of 6, where they can only carry 6 items, and hexagons pop up everywhere. Speaking of which, here we are with the basalt column mines. Like, that's even more 6 to add to the list. So it potentially reinforces the idea of why our inventory is so nonsensical, of what takes up a slot and how much fits in a slot and so on, is because there's just arbitrary programming for them to have 6 item types, and that's it. Because if you think about it, I'm pretty sure the flashlight goes in my head. Since it goes in my... Oop. Surprised I could click on that at that angle. Since it goes in my head, it shouldn't logically take up an inventory slot. I was about to originally say that anything I can equip into my tool slot should not take up an inventory slot because it's going somewhere else, but those aren't quite the same as each other. Like the auto injector and the flashlight arguably are not a hands-on thing that I use manually and have to carry because of how they work, especially the flashlight. Like this is in my head seemingly. But stun rods also can go in that slot, and they definitely are using it. It's just a quick access slot for that item. So it's not always consistent there. But they are committed to this 6 items rule, and it's potentially explained by that. Okay, so with this I should be able to see the monofilament. It's just so tempting to get rid of this item at any chance, because obviously a flashlight is infinitely useful all the time and great to have on hand, but if it uses up one of your 6 slots, that's a restriction that you want to dodge if you can. There's no way I was getting through here safely. And you betcha I want to talk to the NPCs. Hey, don't cry. It'll be over soon. Remember that time we went to the surface? The stars were so beautiful. I wish we could go there again. Hey, listen. I'll let you in on a secret. I can remember my name from my old life. Isn't that funny? Don't you want to know it? Here, I'll tell you. It'll be our secret together. So you can stop crying, okay? It'll be okay. Wherever it is I'm going, I'll wait for you there. This is brutal. So simulated or not, they have some kind of emotional reaction. Like, they're clearly invested. I wonder what happened to all these people? Because they all look pretty regular. Some of them have super long legs. This one on the right and this one over here don't seem to. They're kind of mixed. There's a star and a Yule unit. Some of the other ones I think are other models. But specifically, they don't look like they have torn off faces, which is seemingly built into the sickness. Whatever the sickness is, it seems to kill gestalts, which potentially because they're human, and so it just kills humans. But then it does causes problems for these like human android hybrid characters. Fuck me. With these other characters, it seems to... Oh, they're still here. It seems to attack their biological components, but then something else happens with their mechanical bits. Okay, fuck it. Ah! I still took damage from bumping you? Damn it. I just wanted to see if the room had anything else in it. It did not. This was a waste. Me and my thoroughness. I've ouchied. Oh. Oh. Noticed the enemy right when I did that. Oh no! Boss fight's back. Okie dokie. Excuse me. Excuse me. Ow. The shaft inside the hatch is slightly angled. Looks like it's safe to slide down. Slide down, yes. So I tried to do a minute ago. I noticed the enemy on the right in the darkness right as I clicked on the thing. It was instantly like, oh, Half-Life 2 elevator. This elevator makes noise and alerts all the enemies to me, and then they start attacking me and I have to live long enough for the thing to open. Wasn't that long, though. Oop. That's where Adler was knocked down. Into the weirdly photorealistic hole. That was a trip. Like, seeing it in the cutscene and seeing the weirdly photorealistic hole clashing with all these, like, anime-ish simplified characters made it more distressing to look at. I really like the art of this game. Like, all the way through. I love what the lighting does. The combination of simple characters with like, pretty well-rendered, like, volumetric lighting, or if that's the right term, and all these other elements happening. The haziness. I found more ammo. Takes me back to yellow, that's something. Even these are hexagons. All these rolls. There's a huge hole in the ground. I can hear the sound of water from below. Looks like there's no other way. Jump into the hole. Counting down for 5 hours. Not the strictest time limit. Oh, first person. First person seen through a square screen. Like Instagram or... Okay, that's not... It's like a specific kind of viewport. Is it a vision test? No? Nope. Along the shore, the cloud waves break, the twin suns sink, blah, the shadows lengthen. There's like a glitteriness down here I'm curious about. The one kind of death, the spirit also die, while yet the body was in vigor for many years. Sometimes it dieth with the body, but is raised up again where the body did decay. And a star fell, sky and a mountain, the sea and turned to blood, moon turned dark. It calls me in a sea of flesh. We will become one, but I can never go back to being me. What are these blobs? Probably not just stones. Shells? Skulls? Yep. That looks like a skull. Yep. When I saw so many of them, I'm like, this is going to be revealed to be skulls, isn't it? An entire beach of skulls. Oh. That was a very short 5-hour video. Or 5-minute video? I don't know, I didn't get the best look at it, I guess. I wonder if my cutoff was hitting a threshold, or if I really did have 5 minutes to look around or something. Well, now we're in the hole.